Okay, well, Bole Baba Kite, welcome to today's Satsang at the Haidakhandi Universal Ashram in Crestone, Colorado, United States of America. And I'm Ramloti, and I always love seeing all of you. It's like family that we get back together. And today we're going to be a lot of people reporting on how it went that special New Year's Day, that many of us took extra time to do more japa, and also many different topics that come up. Want to touch in with Mina because she was the one who brought up the idea of doing 16 rounds of japa every day between December 1st and February 14th, and more explanation about that. So we'll begin. Bole Baba Kite. And we're grateful that Pujari is back with us. So Pujari, do you want to check in just a little bit?
Yes, happily. I've 2 weeks of some turmoil, which was another fire, but I also took it like a sadhana. So if you go from there, I had to skip out the last satsang because the doctor was knocking on our door. We had to get some injections because we were in serious trouble. So the new year was like on the bed a lot of the last 10 days, the 10 days from Christmas up to the 4th of January. We were mostly in a sanatorium, and to be sick is also a kind of sadhana we experienced. There was a lot of fever, so you're in a mellow state, just with the mantra, with Baba. There's nothing to do than just to be in this kind of hotel room and wait for the doctor to check on us. And that's just, yeah, that's the sickness sadhana. But we are so filled in our heart with Baba and the mantra, so it's not annoying for me. It only gets annoying when really the pain comes, when the headache comes, or you get really congested and can hardly breathe, but especially the headache pain, then it becomes really annoying. Fever is no problem, cough and cold is no problem, but pain is a problem. And then also the turmoil in the mind that on one level, I know we are not the body, we're not this, we're not that, we're not the mind, but still, if you're sick and are in pain, it's extremely difficult to find peace behind the pain. So that's always an incredible, also kind of a disappointment almost for me to realize what a baby I am in the sense of being able to detach from this physical pujari. You can speak about it, we are not this body, and sometimes there is some experience of it, but if you're long time in a serious pain, it's like I said, I feel like a baby. It's so challenging. If you see the great saint like Nisargadatta or Ramana, they are so perceive their body as if it's somebody else's body. And I can see when I was so sick and with this turmoil, it was a good challenge and wake up from, okay, here is the baby in bed and we can do the mantra and feel very close to Baba. And that was also perfect. It was a beautiful sadhana just to be on fire and to feel close to Baba in that way, wherever it took me. And then there were moments of deep devotion just out of nowhere that happens in a space like we were in. And so I'm also thankful for those kind of moments of deep transformative devotion that you feel Baba is always there, or this divine presence is always with us. It doesn't really matter much if we are healthy or sick. It's in one way secondary, but it's challenging to be in the sick dynamic for a long time. But anyway, we went through that, so I'm very happy that I can connect again and went through some sadhana, I call it in that way. And it's always close to my heart to be every morning. I sit quietly. I have here the temple, and I'm so happy to be back home, because when I get back home, I get into this healthy habits again. And when I'm traveling, it always gets disturbed. So I'm very happy to be home and have my temple and half meter snow around. It's a very beautiful energy at the moment where we're living. So that's my check-in. I have some other stories later, maybe about sadhana of long time experiences with doing some sadhana. but I would like to go more to Mina and how it's been going for her, the New Year celebration and the devotional celebration.
El Bole Baba ki jai. I won't say that on the New Year, I literally sat down the whole day and did japa. I did japa, a lot of japa, because I wanted to do, it was Saturday, so there was Sundarkand going on in the ashram in Ranikhet. You know, they're doing Sundarkand on the first Saturdays. In Chilinola, they have made a program. Last Monday, they are doing 1,25,000 of Om Namah Shivaya. On first Saturday, they are doing the Sundarkand, and 11 times they are doing Hanuman Chalisa. So I was trying to connect up with that and trying to, do that at home. So that is how the morning went. And of course, in the afternoon, it was the Om Namah Shivaya japs. I mean, I do much more than 16 rounds. 16 malas, because I've been doing it for a long time. So it goes on and on and on. Whatever, how many hours I can manage, it just goes on. So that, I think Babaji has blessed us, and it makes it so beautiful, because your day is spent, your time is spent, you don't know where it goes, what happens. You are just in bliss with him. So it's very lovely. It's absolutely bliss for me. I would put it this way.
I love hearing your stories, Mina. I have two questions for you, and
yeah.
partly prefaced on that some people who watch the satsang later, they have questions that don't get answered because they're watching it 2 days later. So they've asked me to ask for clarification. So first, could you explain to everybody what the Sundarkand is?
The Sundarkand is basically, this is one chapter which comes in the Ramayana. This is when this is how Lord Hanuman crosses over to go and meet Sita and let her know that Lord Ram is coming for you. So that is all, the whole Sundarkand is how he reaches Lanka, and how, the arrogance of Ravan, how he, with his tail, he burns up the whole place, and how he goes and meets the mother Sita, and he lets her know that Ram is coming. The whole thing is narrated in the Sundarkand.
Beautiful, thank you. And the other question that somebody had was about when you came up with this idea to start on December 1st, 16 rounds of mala a day. What was that all about?
See, basically, because Babaji's Mahasamadhi this time is falling exactly on the 14th of February. So it just, it just sort of occurred to me, or it's like Babaji just put it in, across, that why don't you all do 1,25,000, so that everybody is connected. They're doing it in Ranikhet once on a Monday, but then everybody is not connected with that, and nobody can sit and do 1,25,000. That is 10,000, 125,000 is 1,25,000 in Indian way of counting. But that's a bit too much for somebody to do in one day. In Ranikhet, they have about 10, 15 people sitting, and it's divided that you do that much, and they manage in 3-4 hours. So out here, it just occurred to me that why don't we all sit, and we'll have that much of many days. From 1st of December with the 14th of February, it was about 76 days. So that 125,000 I just divided with one mala is with 108. So it just came to about 1,025,100. So that again, then we divided into 76 days. So that basically became into 16 malas. So that's how, so that, it's much easy for an individual to manage. So each day you do 16, and in 76 days, at least you'll be able to complete that much, and you'll feel you are getting connected to Baba. Because as you go along, you'll feel so connected, because it comes deeper and deeper into you. And basically then you're going more inward. And the more inward you're going, you start, feeling Baba's presence more and more inside you. I mean, that's what the feeling I keep getting.
That's so beautiful, Meena. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
So just a way that everybody gets a more opportunity to connect up, personal connection.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Shivani from Nainital. I went to Haidakhandi Ashram near the Gautami River a few days back. And I have a keen desire to connect with the Ranikhet, this Chilianola ashram, and be there. I mean, is it open? I just wanted information from you. Is it possible to go there at this COVID phase and, you know, spend time there and connect with them?
I don't know. I think I will have to find out, because just now we have got no news as yet that the ashrams are closed. Definitely, the time the Christmas was celebrated. But since a week, it has become so bad that a lot of things are being closed. Like in Delhi, 2 days we are under lockdown. And every night there's curfew in Delhi. I mean, it's all under lockdown. So I don't know. I don't know how. I believe Uttarakhand is also very bad. You're staying there, so you must be knowing that how bad it is. So I don't know if the ashrams are open or not, but I definitely this could be found out.
Is there any key person's contact number? I mean, if on online I could connect with them.
Yeah, yes, there's Sanjeev Sarna. He's the general secretary. If you get in touch with him, he'll let you know in case if there's a lockdown and if you're being permitted to go there or not. I don't know, because it's just recently all this has happened, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I would like to know how it went for some people who tried to do some extra time on the, and if it was unable to be the 1st of July, 1st of January, other times. So somebody would like to share their experience of how it went for them. Oh, and I could begin. Mine was a very quiet experience. I just spent my time in this little hermitage, which is, I don't know how big. It's basically a bed and a place to do yoga and a bathroom and a place to sit here. Yeah, I did get up. I did go out and did a fire ceremony. We did a late one at 11 in the morning because I know people were looking forward to that as well. But otherwise, I came back here. I had a protein drink and my green smoothie, and I just did a lot of japa. You know, in the more, so this is my question. I would do a lot in the more formal way, and it was wonderful. And sometimes I'd roll over and fall asleep, and sometimes I'd wake up and do more. But other times I was inspired to clean my room a little bit. And so then I just was doing the japa as I cleaned my room, or as I, you know, did a few other things around. And it was just, my experience was peaceful. And I did a longer yoga section than usual. But the japa just kept going on in my mind, I guess, because I planted it there so securely when I was actually doing the more formal japa. So I thought, for me, I would like to try to do this once a month, just take this little quiet time where I did by the time, you know, evening came, I did go to evening arti, and then, you know, started my, you know, talked with Premanand and Jonathan a little bit then. But it was a really wonderful day, and something that, like I said, I might try to institute in my life once a month or so, if possible. So that was my experience and what I learned. I don't know any words about the difference between sitting and holding your mala and, you know, versus doing your yoga and doing it. Any feedback on that, Meena or Pujari or anybody?
Well, I can say a few words about how you mention it. It often helps me to sit quietly with the mala in my hand. I do that every day. Mostly in the evening, I sit sometime and I start with the mala in my hand and do certain mantras that I've been given. And it's mostly, I use it to come to a peaceful state. And then I put my mala down and I go in meditation. It's for me really a help to come to peace, and also a commitment to connect with a certain energy, and then to let go it all and just be in peace. And that I do for sure in the evening time. And often it is, if I have the time, I do it extra in the morning after my fire ritual. I also pick it up, but that depends. But it is, like I say, mostly a help to come to peace. And it's just it's the discipline of like brushing my teeth. It's just, if it becomes a habit, it's so easy and also comfortable. I feel cleaned. If I sit there quietly, I naturally pick up this mala. I have a beautiful mala, the one that I can say Shashiji gave me after the whole 9 days of Navaratri. And the end of the Navaratri, he took this mala from his hands and put it around my neck. So that mala I use for my in my altar for my japa. And it's a very special feeling. Just you touch this mala, and I feel close to Shastriji and Babaji. So it carries that energy. And I remember a story that Tara Devi, an old devotee who lived with, who stayed with Babaji in Babaji time, that she saw, and she was a great devotee and a beautiful woman, older woman, and she was around Babaji. And she saw that Babaji had a mala, and he used the mala in his kutir. He said, how can you do that? Now that is like Einstein using the table of two. It is so, how for Babaji to use a mala is like, this is for children, Baba, what are you doing? But that is how the courage he had to address Baba in that way. But for us, I like to use the table of two to sit with a mala and to come to peace. And it is very helpful. And like I said, the most beautiful thing is that it becomes a cleaning habit, like brushing your teeth. If you sit with your mala, you come to peace. And I've of course lived with Muniraji quite a bit, and he's very, very disciplined. Morning and evening, he sit at least half an hour with his mala back, at least every day, wherever he is. If he says Meena Chandra's house or in my house, he is doing, or in the airport, has his mala back. He was very, very disciplined. So you can see also the benefit of having some healthy discipline. And we all can use it however we want, which part of the toolbox we want to use. But the mala is like, yeah, the favorite number one of the toolbox.
Meena, do you have some words on that?
Yes, I would say the same what Pujari is saying, because what Baba always, I know what Baba really showed to me is discipline. You know, if you are disciplined, and consistency is something that Baba always, you know, put emphasis on. If you're consistent and disciplined, it comes automatically. You know, it just comes with you naturally. It's a very natural thing to hold your mala and to start doing your japa. Because if you leave the mala, you may continue doing, like in the night, even if one gets up, it's going in your mind, you know, you're getting up with the mantra only. And especially when you're going to bed, and the last thing, even if you say Om Namah Shivaya the whole night, it will continue. If you get up in the morning, it's still in your mind, you know, it's going on. But then it breaks. Where's the mala, you know, it continues, you know. So either you sit for 15 minutes or half an hour or whatever time you have. But if you sit with the mala, or even if you want to walk with the mala and do the jap. But, you know, it is like a discipline. I personally feel it that way.
Thank you. Somebody else would like to share about their experience, what they learned or what they experienced or what they didn't?
Well, I was astonished to realize that it's really not such a big deal to go 16 rounds of a mala. It's actually, it's very pleasant, and it's yeah, it's natural. It's really natural. And I tried also not to be only rigid on using the mala, but also just doing the mantra throughout the day, whatever I was doing, walking, yeah, doing something in the house or something. So it's yeah, it was actually very, very pleasant Very pleasant.
Thanks, Ziggy. Elaine, I think you were ready to share.
Yeah, this is very inspirational for me. I had a lot of insights because when it was first mentioned, I was like, there's no way I can do that. I mean, I had a really kind of negative resisting response to it. And then I realized that I've been building my practice for years and adding a little bit here and there. So now it's a mishmash of all kinds of things. And what I could do is just do more rounds than I'd been doing. And I was doing, I think, 3 rounds regularly. So I did 20 rounds that day. And then I just realized that I have to be one who goes slow, because that's the only way that I can keep going. If I jump in, which I used to when I was younger, with all of these great intentions, I would always fail. But I'm kind of like the tortoise and the tortoise in the hare. And so it felt really good to be able to do the 20 and then tell myself, okay, now I'm going to add 1 more to my daily routine. So now I'm doing 4 rounds every day. But one thing I discovered when I did the 20 was, for me, it was a form of meditation. And that felt really satisfying, because I also have resistance to meditation. But I realized that I can kind of go to another place by doing the mala. And so I can use that as a form of meditation. Let me see, another thing it helped me realize was the value of my morning practice to me. I mean, it's become a habit over the years, but I haven't always really valued it. It's something I just have got up and done before I start my day. So I have a lot more respect and feeling, I think, for what I'm doing. And I have been more mindful of japa, and I've seen if I'm facing some kind of challenge in my mind, I've been going to the Omnimas Shivaya more in my mind. So yeah, thank you for all of this. It was great to hear Meena say that it may be too overwhelming to do all of those rounds in one day, because that really spoke to me.
Thank you, Elaine.
Okay, thank you.
Somebody else wants to share? Good. Katrina?
Yeah, I would like to say what really helped me was when Ramlota said at one time that when he was in the, I think he said when he was in the hospital waiting in the waiting room, he just started repeating the Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, and how it like completely changed like his outlook and everything. And before I heard him say that, I had this idea of how like if I do japa, it has to be like this whole ritual. I sit in my place, I have the incense, I have the mala, and now I'm going to do it. So I was just like really in the box of how it should be done and when and in what place. And then when I heard him say that, it just totally opened the way to, hey, I can just, I don't even need my mala. I can just repeat Om Namah Shivaya whenever. And sometimes I would do it when I was simply bored, I don't know, waiting for my kids, you know, to finish their sports practice or while in the car or whatever. But I just realized if I keep repeating Om Namah Shivaya, it changes the outlook, and it just reminds me of the feeling. And it just like, it's like you put it in your head, it's like a record, and it just like repeats. And even when I would wake up then in the middle of the night, I would still hear it going. It's like you put your own record on. So that really helped me when he said that, because I got out of that ritual thing that now it should be done with this and this intent. No, it doesn't have to be like that. Even if you're bored, you can just start. If you're worried, you can start. If you're happy, you can start. If you're in fear, you can start. And it just, changes the whole outlook. So that really helped me. That's all I wanted to say.
Katrina.
Yeah, that's what I said before. Like, it becomes your best friend, no? He's always with you.
It's
You
like a
can-
companion to whatever you're doing. It's there.
Yeah.
It's always there.
You can reject him, but if you're aware, you better keep him with you all the time. That's yeah, it's the best friend.
So there's been a few statements like, you know, I go somewhere else, or where do we go? I mean, as I've been doing it, sometimes my mind drifts off to, you know, what am I saying and what am I doing? So that's my simple questions to whoever wants to answer. Nina, if you have some answer to that, I don't want you to get too tired, though. I know you're.
No, I didn't get your question. What was it?
Oh, just that somebody, you know, there was a statement like, I go somewhere else when I'm doing the japa, or, you know, I connect. Where do I go? Because sometimes I think that it's like, okay, so what am I doing? And help me with the vibrational sounds that I'm saying. And am I always saying it right? You know, I think I was taught Omnimas Shivaya. So the five syllables. I don't know if somebody has a question around that, but that just comes up. It's like, where am I going? What am I doing? And yes, sometimes I feel just totally connected to Babaji, but how's that all happening?
Well, I'm not from myself. Well, often I feel like it's like the Omni Motify means I surrender to this moment. I surrender to now. I surrender to being here. I surrender to mostly to the now, to the presence. And the presence is that which carries everything. No, it doesn't matter what I do or who I am or what I am. It's like this presence which is beyond our physical, mental, emotional. That presence we try to relate to, because Babaji was mostly that. He could come in appearance and mirror everything, but he was at the same time always completely on the other side, you can say. He was always free in that presence. And that was the powerful confrontation and the loving confrontation, that you could, approaching Baba, you could feel there's something which is far greater than this physical body that we are approaching. And I think that's what we are relating to. If we do the mantra, we try to connect with that energy of presence, of Babaji, of love, of which is beyond our own structure of mental, emotional body. That's for me the main focus of where I would like to go with what it means to be attentive, or to be with attention. What came up in the last satsang also, you spoke a lot about how Babaji said, Hosha, Savdan, attention is a very important part of sadhana, of being awake. And the mantra is something that can help us to come to that space of wakefulness. I don't know if that helps you answer some part of the question, but that's my inspiration on the topic of why do we do Om Namah Shivaya? Why do we do that? Where we want to get to, or are we not really there yet? Or yeah, it's a good point.
Thank you. Nina?
Yeah, it takes a lot of time, you know. I mean, like what Arvind had once explained, that Shastriji had said, when you have completed at least 6,2500, then only you cross the one portion of the Om Namah Shivaya to get some energy into you. And another 6,025 will make you cross over to another, you know, little bit of connection. So that is how Arvind had explained how Shastriji had explained about this. So it's a slow process, and one doesn't have to rush in it. You take your time, and Baba is there all the time. He's given you all the time. You take your time. You may do it with the mala. You may do it without the mala. Yes, people who can be disciplined and sit with the mala, nothing like it. If you can't be, then do it all the time, because if it is in you, then all the time it is with you only. So automatically your breath is going in and out with Om Namah Shivaya. That means every vein, every molecule, everything, nerve has that Om Namah Shivaya in you. It's, inside you. So that is the main purpose of the mantra, to slowly, just come inside you, like every drop of blood inside you is like Om Namah Shivaya. But that takes time. But yes, slowly, I'm sure Baba gives time to everybody to take their time and to get somewhere with it.
That's beautiful, Meena. Thank you. Vicky?
Yeah, I have a question. Did Babaji ever say something while let's say praying, doing the mantra with the mala, to not go over the guru bead and just, turn the mantra, turn the mala and go back? Did I understand that right?
I think the question.
Do you know what I mean, Ramloti?
I do, and I think I don't know if Ragu, if you're ready to jump in yet, but I remember your story about in the early days why there was this guru bead there, and maybe if you feel up to it, you could jump right into that story. It might help Vicky.
It is not, Babaji never spoke about such particulars, but it's a common thing in India, where the use of that guru bead, and the idea is not to go over it and to turn around, which is also a thing to keep you in the present moment and not just to, but that you are present and awake on that moment, preferably. When you do a few thousand malas, it happens that you are not so awake all the time.
I did it. I really pay attention. So I just wanted to know if this is really also, if you had learned it this way or not, or if it's not important.
Well, this is all, but all these things, it's the importance that we give it ourselves. And the more important you make it, but you can also overshoot that and make that all of a sudden the object of your, and that is, then you're getting lost in it. And that's what happens a lot with rituals all over the place, that the ritual becomes more important than the object. But this was my point in the beginning. I was just wanted to sit with that mala, and I thought, why this guru bead? What Ramloti is just saying. And so I made a mala, and nobody understood that I wanted to make a mala. I asked somebody to make a mala without a guru bead, so I wouldn't be disturbed. I didn't feel the need to count and all that. That was after 1 month or so. I had to do everything my way at that point. So I did that in that way. And yeah, but no, there is no need for that. But there is all now, after many, well, already for some time, I must admit, but that there is a use to all these things. It's not that somebody invented it and everybody started to imitate that. There is a use for all these things, that there is 108 beats there, and that there is accounting going on, and that there is all these. I saw Babaji, that one story is very interesting, that Babaji acknowledged people doing numbers of mantras. He wasn't acknowledging good that you did so many, but Babaji told me also at a certain point, you do 125,000. He didn't say from you sit there and you do it for so many days. No, he gave me a number to complete. And there was somebody once who completed twice, that I know. That same woman was a really strong sadhana person who completed enormous cycles of mantras, and Babaji blessed her with a boon. Then you can ask, this is in the scripture, that you can ask what you want. And but it is so enormous. If Babaji looking at you, and the energy is, and he blesses you and he says, okay, ask what you want. And if you have on that moment still the presence of mind to say something but makes sense, or that you don't have your calculated self on that moment for, oh, this is what I want, unless you have been focusing on that for a long time. And that lady was not focused in that way from, oh, I want whatever it is that she wanted. And and the funny story I think I told that I wrote that in my book is that that lady didn't come for anything, but Baba gave her on the first occasion and one Mukhi Rudraksh. And that doesn't mean so much for people who don't know what it is, but it's one in many millions, and it's something really special. But she didn't recognize it, and she gave it away.
I remember your book. Yeah,
it didn't look good. And the second time she had this occasion, Babaji asked her again, said 1.5 years later or something, and she again had done this. And then Babaji it was in the middle of people. It was just a disturbing moment that everybody was around, and she had completed these mantras. She didn't also go quietly to Babaji on that moment and say, oh, I have completed or something like that. Now she just was all excited, and she went to Babaji, and I said, what do you want? But there was all these people around and talking in between. And then she started talking about her broken car. And her car was miraculously fixed. But I mean, she could have asked, I don't know what. It's Lord Shiva who's, but this is, if we're not on the moment and present, clear, then, I mean, we can be with God and we don't even know it.
Yeah.
So these things are in a way important.
Thank you.
We shouldn't make them too important.
I have a question, Ramlodi. This is Pam. I have a question.
Yes, Padma. What would you like?
Padma. So these large numbers of malas that are being talked about, is this just cumulative over any amount of time, or, these 125,000 and the different numbers that are being mentioned? I just would like to hear a little more about that. I know Dr. Lal talked about that too. Like there's like these tiers, these levels you get to, and you get different gifts. And I was so intrigued by that, but I don't quite understand it.
Somebody wants to respond to that? Mina or Ragu, you've been talking about longer amounts of time.
No, well, I don't know what that story from Dr. Lal that you get when you do so many mantras, then this happens and that happens. That I don't know about that. But and if you say, oh, I'm going to do 10 malas a day for the next 2 years, that's all very nice, but it is very different when you do a big amount of malas every day, because that's when you are really making new neurological pathways into your brain. That is when it really starts to get hold into your subconscious, and then it has much more impact on your behavior patterns, on your thinking. Of course, it's always nice, even if you do 1 mala a day, but the more you do, the more impact it has. As Babaji was saying, it washes the brain. Yeah, you need to do some work to get that, because our brain is always active, generally with not the best things. So if we do these things, we correct somehow, or we create new ways of thinking in our brain. And then when you do a lot of them, then it works better. Then it has more impact, just like that. And I don't know why I've heard often the number of 125,000. I don't know why this number or another. I also heard about millions. And I know that Dr. Lal, I don't know about this, what he said, but Dr. Lal is a real strong japa person. He can sit like a statue and take with his mala and pa. And I know that he did that for a long time, like a machine. Impressive also, and that's I think that is partly why he was able to create what he created, his own kingdom. Yeah, but you need to do really a lot of work for that. That doesn't come by itself.
I just like to say, Ragu, that this 1025 is basically in our Hindu mythology. Any Pandit or any, if we are having something done for ourselves, maybe any mantra, maybe for Shani or maybe for Mangal or maybe for anything. Every time we are suggested 1 lakh, 1,000, 125,000. So that amount is what really helps the person to get over somewhat of the malice that planet is causing you. So that's why it is 125,000. So basically that is a number that has been laid down. So basically whenever we are having something done, suppose we are having the Mahamrityunjay Jap also done, it is suggested that we do it. I mean, we have it done, or if we can do, then it has to be 125.
It's a huge difference in 125 Om Namah Shivayas or 125 the Om Triambaka mantra. That is
it's the same. It's the same.
It's the same. The 125,000 Om Namah Shivayas take some days. 125 Om Triambakams takes a little bit more.
They take long. They take very long, very long. But then if you have to have it done, usually, in India, you have to call in the Pandits. There'll be about 5 of them, 6 of them, and, they'll do some puja before you start. So, I mean, you give what you say is that you hand it over to them to do it on your behalf. And then they sit for those number of days, maybe 7 days or 10 days. They work it out between themselves, how many malas they're all going to do. And when they finish with that, then they do what is known as the Daswansh. That Daswansh is the 10th of 125. That is done either, or they do Havan to complete the whole job. That is how it is completed.
Yeah, that's for a certain purpose, but generally for the Westerners, we don't even know. There's an astrologer who tells us, or a pandit, but generally we don't even know from, we have a problem and this is afflicted by Mangal or by Shani or whatever, and we can counteract that with this mantra. And if we do so many, we are just suffering along in our lives.
I know it. In India, I mean, everybody is consulting astrologers and, something or the other, all these pujas are being done. Is all, the whole life of India, is revolved around all this. That's why this number has been set, that this month you do, then it helps.
It's a great incentive also, because it's not easy to complete like 125,000 mantras. That's a job, even if you do Om Namah Shivaya, which is very short, but that's already, that'll keep you busy.
It's long. So that's why if we do it in a number of days, if one sets a goal, the main thing is to set a goal. 76 days, it's a goal. You have to complete it in this much time. So, there's a target, there's a goal, you have to achieve that. It's like, you're on a run. You have to complete, you have to reach the finishing line. So then you're making an effort. Maybe today you can't do 16, you'll only do 5. Then tomorrow you'll add another, to your lot, so that you make up. Slowly you're making up. So it's not that I have to do 16, I have to do 16. You do as much as you can, and then you slowly add up onto other days. As long as you complete, in those many days, you complete that much. It's a total connection. It's like a total dedication. It's something very different you feel inside. You can feel the energy coming inside you. You can feel so much. I mean, now and then you can feel that whiff of air going, and you'll feel that Baba's, he used to love henna and musk. Sometimes you'll feel that's, that is all of a sudden you'll feel where has he been around? You can smell that. Or sometimes you'll feel where's the Havan? There's a smell of Havan. These things start happening to you then. So then you feel, yes, there's some connection now. But then you have to be dedicated, you have to be consistent, you have to make an effort. Nothing is achieved without effort. You may continue the whole day, do whatever you do, keep doing the job, but if you sit for some time quietly, it is a different feeling.
I like what Ragu said, how when you start doing the mantras, it corrects your, because like what I said before, I was thinking, oh, I have to be in the right intent, in the right mood, in the right setting, and then I'm going to do it. But sometimes I would start just being bored. But then when you start doing it, you change. It's like you're corrected. I really like how he said that. It corrects you. It corrects your energy. It corrects your frequency. It corrects your mood, your intention. You just connect to yourself, to the heart, and everything changes. The whole setting.
Mind will come up all the time with excuses.
Yeah, it's like, I'm just going to talk myself out of it. But then when you start, you're like, oh, home. Yes, that's the feeling. Thank you. That's the record. That's what I want to hear. It's so much better. It's autocorrect, right?
Yeah, almost. It is, yeah.
Calibration.
On the 1st of January also, it took me half a day before I could actually start, because there was Havan, there was Puja, Aarti and all these things. And the first, when I finally got everybody out of the door and I started, the first 2 hours, it was just, yeah, now I'm doing it. Now I'm doing it. Yes, I'm keeping my, but then after hours, finally, it became smooth. And only by the end of the day at 10 o'clock in the evening, I thought, wow, now I'm actually only ready to really sit in the mantra. I wish I would do it for a few days, because, you know, in the beginning, you're really doing it and you really, you know, I have to concentrate, I have to calm my mind, and but it takes a while before you really sink into it. And that's what I was trying to say before, with really doing it, if you really can dedicate some time and some focus. And it is, we have such a busy mind, well, at least me, maybe you are all very balanced, but we have such a busy mind who comes up with so many things, what we can do and don't want to do, and so on. That,
but surprisingly, everything comes up at that time only. When you're doing the japa, then 100 things come to your mind which you're not even thinking about, you know. That's the time your brain tries to act over smart with you. Then you have to control yourself, you have to bring yourself back. It is a difficult process, but then that's how what is you know, trying to discipline your mind.
that's why it's also fun. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I would say every time is different too. Sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I don't feel like it increases my awareness. Okay, if I'm moving outside and saying the mantra, okay, yes, but if I'm sitting and I really get into it, sometimes after just a few rounds, I'm like, lost, I'm somewhere else. It's like, I can't even do it, just stop and okay, that's it, I'm somewhere else. So yeah, it's also like changes. It changes, it's not the same.
I think that's why, like Mine was talking about, having a disciplined goal of sorts, and yet then being easy with it. And I'm grateful to Baba that he mostly taught us Omnimas Shivaya to us, at least to me as a Westerner. So I don't have to worry too much about what planet is influencing me and higher pundits and things like that, which is, I'm sure it's a great tool also. But I'm grateful for the tool of Omnimas Shivaya that Baba gave to us. I also want to read something that Sundari Ma wrote. She's here probably still. Yeah, there you are. Hi, Sundari Ma. So she wrote, she says, I'm French. I don't speak English properly. I apologize. I'm trying to improve to speak better, but I prefer to write. She said, on New Year's Eve, I experienced Mala for 5 hours, Om Namah Shivaya, from 10 p.m. until 3 a.m. It was fabulous. Haidakhandi was present to come into my heart, to give me a real unique love. Could not stop so much. His love was pure and great and connected to the universe. He told me to connect to the yogi, to the Haidakhandi cave. Then Maha-Avatar Babaji came, Shiva also. Shiva Babaji told me, make a wish. I made a wish. Babaji is wonderful. I love him. I was in blissful love. Thank you, Sundari Ma. That's beautiful. So 5 hours going into the night of New Year's Eve. Very beautiful. And into the New Year's morning. Oh, good. Someone else wants to share about their experience? Emily, did you get a chance to do some extra japa? No, if you're able to speak, but Emily met Babaji in the late 70s and lives in Santa Fe. But if and when you're ready to speak, let us know. And if you want to share anything, we'd love to have you connect with us. So. And in the meantime, anybody else? Nilvi, what did you experience?
Well, I started out with good intentions, but I found out that I had a short attention span. I was easily distracted. You know, it was snowing, thinking, oh, I have to shovel. The phone rings, you know, and this, that came up, and I couldn't sit there. So I thought, okay, I'll try again Sunday. But, you know, the same thing happened. So, so then I thought, well, okay, I'm gonna look up the benefits of japa. Maybe I'll find some inspiration there. And the first thing I found was that it allows you to build a greater concentration span and improve your focus, which was exactly what I needed to learn. So, and maybe go little by little. I just couldn't sit there all day. So I needed to learn, you know, just to add a few minutes a day or a few malas a day and just do it that way. But then also, well, it had 7 benefits, this article I was reading, and it said takes away your stress. That was good. It builds an inner connection with yourself. It keeps your head, heart, and overall cardiovascular system in good shape. It lowers your heart rate, lowers your blood pressure, all things I needed. Need to lower my blood pressure. So it makes you more productive, even though you're spending time meditating or doing japa, you'll be more productive later. So it doesn't take away from, you know, all the things you have to do. And what else? It said, that's a form of meditation you can do anywhere. You know, I wear my malas and I can do it while I'm waiting for something in the car, you know, or whatever I'm doing. And it makes you a happier person. So I thought, well, that's a lot of inspiration for me to keep on trying to do it and, you know, to add to doing it longer on days that I can do it. So that's what I found out.
Thanks, Milvi. That's great. And it's sort of what Ragu said. It's like we can come up with a million things. Oh, it's snowing. I better clear the snow. Or it's this or that. One thing that impressed me when you were telling me about the time you would do 3 days of it, and that you would unplug the phone, unplug the computer, you know. So it also some steps like that. I don't know, Ragu. Any more inspiration on that one?
That is, I also did that on New Year's. On New Year's, I mean, the worst day that everybody parrots to each other, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. I don't know, it's some compulsive action that everybody does, and it is actually very disturbing if you want to be focused. So you better just switch that off, at least for a day. But if you do that for days, actually it would be a good thing to do more often, that we switch off our computers and phones a little bit, because we got so attached to it and we are so, oh, there's a message I need to read and answer it immediately. And I'm not saying that about somebody else, I'm saying that about me. So if we take breaks from that, to see the relativity of importance of that it is so much more important to nurture our quiet insight, our connection to the divine and to life itself, instead of always busy with connecting with other stuff outside that self. I think it will, what Milvi was saying, it keeps your blood pressure down and it keeps your mind more quiet, and just on a basic simple level it really improves our lives. Some of these simple things, apart from spiritual connection, it is just also our being alive in the body, in the world, in a better way, in a more higher quality way.
Thanks, Ragu.
I agree, Ragu. I'm sorry I had some trouble with the internet, but it looks like I'm stable back. But I want to share a little bit similar thing, that to take time off is a very good one. When you were talking, I was remembering that when I turned 50, quite a while ago already, but I was in Thailand and I took a week off. I want to be on my own. When I turn 50, I take a week off. I just sit in a beautiful cottage, actually in Tamarind. You will know that it's a beautiful place on Koh Samui. And I took a week off to be alone and fast on coconut water. I was only drinking coconut water and wanted to stay alone. I had a beautiful little cottage and a big rock in front. And I had my mala and some other puja and sapsati books, but that's how I spent my days and nights. And it was exquisite. In the beginning, it was a little bit difficult to get into, but very soon in this beautiful environment and the smells and nature around me, and always a straw dog came sitting next to me on the rock, and I was getting into it, that it became so beautiful. I didn't want to get out anymore. It's like, why leave this place? It was too costly to stay there, but it was exquisite. Also, if the digestive system comes to peace, it's like the mental system also comes to a lot of peace. It was really helpful to do some fasting together with a lot of mantra. I did a lot of mantra just continuously for the 7 days and nights, and it was exquisitely beautiful to go into that space. And actually also something strong happened shortly after, when I came back to Holland after that experience. I was very alive and very in a deep bhakti state. And I came back to Holland, and then the plan was born to build the separate temple in front of the ashram. And I had a lot of energy and power then to say, yes, let's do that together. No, we can do it. And all that energy I could feel, it was partly generated because I was so charged by being 1 week in a very peaceful sadhana. But to take time off is a very beautiful one. And yeah, I remember how Babaji put Ragu in the cave or in the temple. I don't remember what you shared last time, but to take time off, if we can do that, it is a very, very helpful sadhana to do that. Another part I want to share, that was in Haidakhandi time with Babaji, that he inspired me to do another kind of sadhana, to keep moan, and means to keep silence. Because there was also in Baba's time a lot of turmoil in the ashram. And the mantra can do a lot, but to keep quiet, I took that as a sadhana for 1 month, to not speak. That also brings out a lot of inner awareness, and actually also a lot of difficulties, I must say, because then I start to see how negative my mind was and how judgmental I behaved through the days, and how irritated my heart was a lot of the time, which before I did not really notice so much. It was just going normal. But doing moan, keeping quiet while you interact with everything in a normal way, as normal as possible, it brought me a lot of insight, and a lot of slowly also that everything comes to peace, that this irritated judgmental mind comes also to peace, because it gets tired of itself. And yeah, that was just to mention another part of sadhana you could do next to mantra, is to keep quiet. Maybe you cannot keep completely quiet for a month, what I could do at that time in Babaji's presence even. But in normal life, we can keep quiet for a day or for some time. And I've even had Sastiji hear him advise to some people, you keep quiet in the morning, before 10 o'clock, you don't speak. So that it is a beautiful thing next to japa to keep quiet. I want to bring that up as another part of doing some sadhana if you want to make some inner experience. And also what came to my mind is that what Ramana Maharishi has said about what is truly to do tapas is to melt at the place where the sound of mantra comes up in us, to dissolve right there. That is tapas, to dissolve at the place where the sound of mantra comes up in us, to dissolve right there. That is tapas. That's ultimate tapas, I can say. No, same. I say I'm a baby. I take my mala, and it's helpful. But ultimately, we want to disappear somehow, and that can also happen when we sing bhajan, even behind the harmonium, or we sing bhajan just to sing and sing until you stop, and then everything stops, and you're in another dimension always, where you didn't start there. No, you started with a lot of turmoil and whatever, and then at the end of singing a mantra for half an hour, you're in a completely different space, which is also a very helpful sadhana if you don't like just to sit with the mala, to sing even with a tambourine or with a drum or with a harmonium, but to sing the mantra is also a beautiful way to come to peace. Let me say it that way. Anyway, that were my considerations when I was listening to you. Now, who's next to share something?
Yeah. Sita, did you have some time on New Year's, or at that time, did you take some extra time?
Yeah, I decided I would do 3 days of 108 times per day. So that is divided by 36 rounds, and it takes me about an hour. So it would be 3 hours per day. So I did the first day, and then I got on my, how do you say, women's holidays or moon holidays. So I had to take a break. And then I'm on my third day today of these 3 days, let's say. And it was interesting when I had to stop. It was that feeling of there is a friend I want to go close to, but I can't. So it was it is a nice feeling like today, because I'm on my third day of 108 rounds per day. And today I was preparing the house and cleaning and doing some karma yoga to go to sit to do japa. And it was a nice feeling that you make your house a temple somehow. When you say I'm gonna do a retreat at the house is the temple, and it gives a very nice feeling. And I want to share deep gratitude for the fact that through the satsangs and through the satsangs, I feel very much inspired to make it at home, make a retreat in your own place. And because now it's a little bit more challenging to go to the ashrams. So, and just that nice feeling of knowing that other people might be doing something like that. So that gives support. I feel encouraged, inspired, and what it gives, I don't know, because maybe ask me in 10 years or 20 years, because I think it's the fruits, it feels that they come very little by little, and my concentration, my mind still is going here and there, and I notice even if I say the mantra and I move my mouth, or not my lips, but my tongue, and I say Om Namah Shivaya, even then my mind finds the time to go elsewhere. So I have a question, like, to whoever wants to answer, like about, for example, using the when we say the mantra with the mala, is it encouraged to use them, say it with the tongue, or you send it to your mind, or do you send it to your heart, or do you send it from your heart? Any thoughts on that from anybody? I found for me it helps when I said it in my mouth, it helped me to concentrate, but even then my mind would go to places and I have to, bring it back. And I guess I cannot say that I really I've settled in. I think it'll take some time to settle into it. It was more trying to I guess, I don't know, control it or, yeah.
It's okay. It's okay that your mind goes out and behind it. Don't worry about it, but just bring it back. It's unavoidable. There are moments, and that can even be simply because you have a funny digestion, or because you have some busyness in your life, and that your mind is a little bit unruly, and that is more easily distracted. It is all okay. Just don't worry about it, feel guilty or feel bad or whatever. Just bring it back all the time. And some days it will be almost impossible. And then maybe you go and have a cup of tea and do something else and relax for a moment, and then see if it works again. Because, I mean, there's no other way. We have a wild monkey mind, and sometimes it's just uncontrollable, and it doesn't help. Oh, I have to do it. It doesn't work like that. We need to, and at the same time, we need to put some persistence in it. So it's a fine balance. Be loving and nice to yourself, and at the same time also a little bit persistent in keeping it going. Now you asked something else, and I don't really.
She asked about repetition. Do you actually do it with your tongue and, silent?
Yeah, well, if you are, it helps if you have a really busy mind, that if you say it out a little bit. But speaking it out is, you can also mumble it a little bit, but there's different ways of doing it. But sometimes, because it's really difficult, you go much faster if you're fully concentrated and you say it inwardly. But that's also not so easy, and that's to keep your focus. So you go through different moments. It is very nice if you sit in a full lotus and you do your mantra and you have your mala in front of your heart, but you can't do that all the time unless you're a real, I don't know what. If I'm sitting, I'm also, sometimes I sit like that, but sometimes I'm sitting along with against the pillow and with my legs stretched out and like this, but I don't want to get bothered by too many of the external things, but just keep going in the best way that I can, because body and mind will keep on coming up with disturbances, and just would be nice if you can just don't give too much importance to it and see that you keep on track.
Mina, do you have some your point of, we're all talking and we have different experiences, different bodies, different lives. So whatever is helpful for people.
So just like what Ragu said, I think that's exactly what it is, if my mind gets very distracted, I start walking. With walking, I start doing the mala, that keeps me a little more concentrated. And then I come and sit down. It's not that I just sit down and just do the mala. So it's just what, how to focus your mind. You just have to help yourself. Everybody goes through the same process, because the mind at that time, as Raghu's put it, your mind is such a monkey, it keeps jumping around. And all the thoughts keep coming at that time. All your difficulties keep, cropping up at that time. So you've just got to help yourself to focus and to keep pulling yourself back. So do it in whichever comfortable manner you feel like. You feel like walking and doing the mala, do it. If you want to sit, you do it that way. Whichever way you feel comfortable, as long as it helps you. You have to find ways and means to help yourself.
That monkey mind is always there. It's just the great thing is when we sit for meditation or japa, we become aware of it, but it's always there.
Yes.
In the beginning, when there was all this, when we around Babaji and people were doing mantras, and I also started and played around with it, but I can't say that I experienced something. I was doing it because Babaji said that we were doing it, and I needed to do it, and others were doing it. So I was also doing this, but I can't say that I really felt from, wow, now I've done some mantras and now I feel. No, sometimes Babaji would look at you and you would feel 10 times better than sitting an hour on a mala. So I didn't really see the value of it, but because it was part of the package, I was doing it. But after, I don't know, it was almost a year or something that I was there, and I thought what can I do to really feel that? And somehow I invented it myself to take the Gayatri mantra and do I said to myself, I'm going to do 3 malas a day and see what that is like. I tell you, if you want to feel something quickly, then take one mantra like that. And because Gayatri, to do 3 malas of Gayatri mantra, that'll keep you also busy a little bit. But that is, for instance, such a powerful mantra. I advise nobody to do that. But I mean, it was after a few days that I could hardly sleep. And I felt these energies inside of it. It was not always pleasant, but there was an enormous amount of Shakti, of energy. And I didn't even, because you don't feel from, oh, now I'm doing the mantra, now this energy comes, it builds up in you, and you think, oh, wow, what's going on with me? And then I felt all these incredible things inside of me. And I stopped it after some time, and I realized, well, wait a minute, maybe it's not the way of doing it. I heard her, yeah, now I remember, it was Sheila Devi who inspired me to do this with the Gayatri mantra. But it is, if you have doubts about these things, that you think, does a mantra work or not, then try something like that. It's really like a fix.
Sometimes I do get confused because I read the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam. There was this sadhana some of us took on when the pandemic started. And we've read the whole thing. We're right at the end now, which is, quite a long book. Milvi and Emily have been part, and Elaine have been part of that. And it does talk about all these different mantras, and, from depending on what section you're on, that's the best, or this is the best. So sometimes I do get confused, should I be doing a mother mantra? Should I be doing the Om Namah Shivaya? But I guess for me, I always go back to the Om Namah Shivaya because that's what Baba spoke about. That's in reading his teachings, that's the only thing I've really heard him give out generally. So I figure if it's good enough for Baba, it's good enough for me. So any comments on that?
I have a story to share. That next to this satsang that encouraged me to go into the japa and the mantra, I heard one time Krishna Das said this story. It comes from an Indian saint or sage. I don't know from which one, but anyhow, and he said that every time we bring ourselves into the present moment, and in which case is the Om Namah Shivaya, the mantra, this is like a seed that gets blown away with the air, and it goes into a forest. And in this forest, there is a house. And in this house, there are tiles on the rooftop, and the seed sits on the rooftop. And every time we bring ourselves into the present moment, it's a seed that sits on the rooftop of that house. And by winter and summer and all the alternation of the seasons, eventually these seeds germinate, and they break the rooftop, and they break the house. And this house is the construction of who we think we are, so that who we truly are, our true essence, can shine forth. So when I heard this story, I was like, okay, let's go for it, because it takes the time it takes. So you can't have results. You can't, at least where I am right now, I can speak for myself. I shouldn't be waiting for a result because it needs the time it takes. So that story encourages me to go again and again into it.
Thanks, Sita.
Yeah, lovely.
I have a question that came up when Sita was speaking. She talked about woman's time. And it sounded as if you did not do your 1 hour of japa during that time. And so I just like some feedback on that, so that other people, some other people may get confused around that. And
are you asking somebody in particular, or?
I'm asking, if any of you folks heard Mina, being a woman also, obviously you and I probably don't have our woman's time anymore, but earlier on, for those that do, is that a time not to do? If you've set like, I'm going to do 1 hour of japa a day or whatever number you came up with, would that be a time not to do that?
I don't know, but I think that was mainly what I came to know, that Baba had laid down some rules that we had to stay away from the temple and the pujas for till the 5th day or something. So that is what I had heard. Really, and Muniraji was also quite particular about it. That is my...
Does that mean then I went to hold my mala and do japa, even though I wear mine all the time?
Frankly, at that time, I wasn't doing japa at that time by holding, we were just doing it mentally. It is only later on that one really started using the mala and started doing the jap. So I never experienced that. But yes, during those days, as was given to us to understand, one just stayed away. That's all.
I don't think it pertains to japa, this. And actually, I don't even think it really pertains to anything. It is an Indian rule which has grown through the years, and there is some meaning to it, but it has become an iron rule of, well, I think actually, if I may say so, but it is to put women down. And I don't...
Actually, it didn't really start with putting the women down. It was on other basis, because basically in India first, being very primitive, there were not the ways and means that were usually used. So a lady was actually made to take some rest. And it was, later on, it was to a very different type of a concept by the Pandits and by, the old Orthodox people. They made a big hullabaloo out of it. And, they put so many do's and don'ts which were not supposed to be there. So it took an absolutely different turn. It was meant for something different.
Yeah.
Because even like Sadhguru has said, that your body at that time is so vulnerable that you are very prone to attracting different type of negative energies at that time. So usually the woman was allowed to rest, stay away, so that you don't connect around with so many people and get that different energies around you. So 3 days, 4 days was like a rest period, away from the work, away from the kitchen, but things were taken differently by people.
Particularly in India, no, the women are have a very strong duty all the time towards the house and the husband and the children and everything. And on these moments, they have a little bit of a more.
It was a time.
So I think by the mantra is the having the japa is very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember, because I've been here since for a long time, 30 years or so, and the schedule of living at an ashram is pretty intense. And so when it was woman's time, as you call it, Sita, it was a time to, actually I would do more meditation during that time and more japa, but I didn't go to the temple and I didn't do the puja in the morning, those duties. I didn't cook. And it was a very spiritual time. So that's what I actually explain to people, because many people come here and we still have that as, part of our guidelines, is that during those 3 days that a woman takes her time. And what I've heard is that actually vibrationally, it's a time that we're going into ourselves, like you said, Meena, very sensitive, close time. So we usually suggest that, people can still do their karma yoga, because you want your body to move a lot of times, but to take more meditation and more, that may include more japa, but not come to the temple during that time. It's a very special inward time, because the temple ceremonies and all the puja and stuff, it's this kind of an energy coming upward, versus right now it's more of a go into quietness. So I always explain it as a very special time for a woman to take more rest, but also to take more deeper meditation. And I like what you said about how sensitive we become during that time also.
And even that, Ramloti, is as everything is like we see it. I know you see it like that, and I saw many women, they were very angry that they were not allowed, and they were against this rule, and they were in competition with men, which I understand also, because it is men who's usually enforcing it on them, but being totally frustrated and trying to sneak in a day earlier in the rituals, and many of them take the pills to change the date of their woman time. I've never heard that expression, but to change the date so they can be present at Navaratri and things like that. All sorts of stuff, and some are taking it as a blessing from, oh, I have time to go inward.
Yeah, I think part of it is the explanation too. If you say, oh, you're dirty, you have to stay away now. But
yeah.
Of course, I would be like, wait a second, I took my shower and perfectly clean, get out of here. But if you explain how special this sacred time is for a woman, then I think it gives a whole, and that's what we, always do here. It's a special time. So.
That rule doesn't make any sense to me. Like, if you're more sensitive, wouldn't you want to be there in a good setting and doing pujas and all that, so you get the good energy instead of moving away from that? Like,
that's what
do the other ashrams follow this rule?
I think so, yeah. That's what I'm saying. But it's an upward energy, Katerina, versus taking that inward time of just being in your room or wherever you're out in nature, just quietly connecting to that versus
God is already inside of you.
I know, yeah. Thank you, Raghavir. I feel more on your side.
I think one thing I learned is that in Hawaii, where they make poi from the taro plant, and you have to beat it, and then you take that. Actually, this is what I heard, that it tastes different when a woman does it with her moon time. So something is changed inside harmoniously. It is a special time. So,
Okay.
But you can check with each place you go. Some people say more like Raghavir or like you, that it's really what is inside, but it's more for the woman.
Yeah, that certain openness which you are describing is not towards anything particular than really the divine. You don't need, maybe with females are blessed with a direct connection, which is opening up on that moment, that and you need to go quiet inside a bit more instead of running around, because there's a lot of going to the temple. We can idealize it, but when it is part of your life, it is also a duty which you have to do, whether you feel like, whether it rains, whether it is this, whether it's that. It becomes a whole different thing than when as a Westerner we go to the ashram and we want to be there and we want to participate in the puja. In India, it is part of your life and you are busy with it all the time. So it is also nice then somehow to retreat and to take that time different, particularly from all the normal duties one has.
I remember traveling all the way to Holland when you folks were, I think Satsang and Muniraj were both there, and I think you must have been blessed inaugurating maybe the temple. I don't remember exactly what, but it was very important. And I arrived all the way from America, a little tired, but I think it was right when the pujas were starting. And by some luck, I got to sit right next to Muniraj and Sastriji, and I was just like in bliss. And then even lunchtime, I got to take my lunch with them. And then during rest time, out of the blue, my moon time arrived, and I was only going to be there for 3 or 4 days. So it my first thought was, what's this, but then that quiet, and it was inconvenient because I was in a country, I didn't know anything actually about the ashram or the country or anything. But as I settled in, it was beautiful. And then I was there about another half day. And it was a similar thing. I just got sort of pulled in and got to this. So the whole time was just a huge blessing when I just surrendered to this is how it is. And I had that experience, heard that from many women in Haidakhandi. They'd come to see Babaji, and bloop, it was a time of you know, of going deeper, and it was a very helpful time for me. So.
Moniraj and Sastriji were both very much conforming with that Indian rule, but Babaji was more conforming with what they thought, but he was breaking these rules also. Babaji was not particularly, he would, if necessary, if there would be a Guradevi or somebody, he would break these rules also. He wouldn't stay away from somebody. He was outside all the rules, and he was just confirming with others to have things go in a certain way. Babaji was not a Hindu. Babaji is God, and he fits everywhere, but he had the Sanatana Dharma is from there, but he was not particularly one thing or the other.
I actually remember in the early days I was there, in the early 80s, it was 3 days that we stayed out during that time. And then in the 82 visit, Babaji told me to, because Gora was out at that time, and Babaji told me, he said, go tell Gora now 4 days. And so I did. And her first response is, you know, I wonder what that means, you know, why that change. And I don't know the answer either, but I was involved in that. So obviously, I used to think, oh, it was just, you know, happenstance. But as I delved more and more deeply into it, and also listened to these satsangs, I realized that Baba didn't move a finger that didn't have a meaning for each one of us, you know, that there was no chance to it. There was a reason. So I don't know all the reasons, but it was curious. So we leave it there, maybe. Unless Pujari, do you have any insight into any of this?
Sorry, I missed the intro.
Being a woman, do you have any insight?
Oh. No, it's all respect for the woman. I think I've seen the same thing, that some women got very annoyed and some women got very appreciative of that time, that they would have quiet time. And really, like Ramloti tried to explain, it's the downward energy. It's really not to do much mantra, not to be busy with puja, not to put your head on all that stuff, just really completely surrender in relaxation as being a woman. And I think that was very beautiful. It's sure it's been misused over the ages in India, but it's really a big respect towards women. And you see that also in the American Indian traditions, where also the woman, they get quiet time or to sit alone in a teepee. And it is a similar tradition that it's deep respect for the woman. I think we hardly understand how that is played. I've often seen in India also the beauty, what I've learned around the Havan Kund, that many women, they desperately wanted to sit and offer at the Havan. And then one time Muniraj was explaining, yeah, but traditionally it is the woman who kind of prepare the Havan Kund. It's the mouth of the Mother Earth, and they prepare it, they make it beautiful, like they make it lipstick and flowers and decorations, and it's a beautiful art, and they put all their love and devotion in it. And they often cook some things for like the dal or the kheer and the things for the offer it to the fire, that the woman prepared that. But then the men have to make the offering to the woman, to this mouth of Mother Earth. And that's the man's duty to make the offerings. And the woman can stand back and just enjoy that they prepared everything, and then the men have to offer everything to the female. I enjoy that explanation very much. And also I could tell it to many women who said, oh, they desperately want to offer at Havan. Now throughout the last 40 years, I think we've quite changed things around, and we give women also the enjoyment of sitting around the fire and offering to the divine, not looking at male or female. And I think that is something of these times, and I have no opinion about it, but I was happy to share the vision of how the woman would be able to provide a lot of beauty for the rituals, and then the men had to do the things. And I don't know what is wisdom and how to go about. I'm very happy with how it's going now, that if women wish to do that, often if they are a little bit older was then the ritual, no, if they are beyond their period, then they would be able to sit. In Babaji's time, it was exceptional if a woman would participate in a Havan. Only some older women like Sheila.
Babaji put women there.
Yeah,
Babaji put
Babaji.
women on the Havan.
In the beginning not, but later he put some women there like Sheila Devi. And I remember as a Westerner, it was Neela who shared that story, very beautiful in one of her satsang also, that Baba really wanted her to sit at the fire. So it is definitely Babaji made some changes there from, and even some pundits look strange at that Babaji did that. But that was really new in India. So for us, it is no, for me personally, it doesn't matter if I sit with women around the Havan or with men around the Havan. I don't have these concepts, so I'm also not disturbed by them. But I was happy to hear some information about in the Vedas, it's often duties for the man, duties for the woman, rights for the man, rights for the woman. But don't take it all too serious, no? Don't make yourself in competition with each other. It's just the beauty of a dance, of the yin and the yang, and how we can play out different parts in the world. Also in this around rituals, we all have a part to play. That's what I wanted to say about the Havan and the woman being eager to offer or not eager to offer. But we were speaking more about the moon time or the female time. Yeah, personally, I don't have much with that. We have to keep going. We don't have this break time. But I see it often very beautiful if women really accept and surrender to that. That looks very beautiful in my eyes. If they take the time off and just to be quiet and be amongst themselves.
Can women be a pujari? Can a woman be a pujari? Or it was always a man?
You ask Ramloti.
Ramloti is an exception.
No, in Switzerland, there's a female pujari, right?
I've been a pujari. Astrology told me I was the head
And
pujari
anyway,
30
So
years.
that's why I will come and train with you, Ramon.
Yeah, but I can tell you also, I mean, even before that, I asked Babaji, I said, can I become the pujari here? This was in 81. And he said, or how can I learn the puja? I didn't say specifically, could I be pujari there? I said, I want to learn the puja. He said, you go to Gaura Devi. So I went to Gaura Devi and she said, Baba taught me a very simple one. I take some incense and, I clean around my altar a little bit. And I have a water and a flower and a fruit and incense. And I offer that to Baba. And then I do some incense with a bell. I thought, oh, that sounds pretty easy. I could do that. So I went home, made a big altar and did that every day with that. But then Sastraji said, no, you be the head pujari there always. So then I went to India. This was probably 88, 89. I don't know, as we're building the temple, or maybe it was even in the early 90s, sometime in 90s. I actually went to Gohari. And I said, Gohari, can I see exactly how you do the puja? And he said, you sit right outside. So he never let me come in and do the puja like he does some helpers who are probably all male, because he must carry that tradition very strongly. And then I went to Chilianola, and that was, the first pujari that was there, or the one that we think of, who I think still lives in the Gufa side. Do you remember his name? His nephew is now the young pujari. But anyway, I asked him, could I come in early in the morning and help you dress Babaji, the huge Murti of Babaji? And he said, no. He said, it could have been, he could have said, Muniraj said, women shouldn't come in here, or something like that. So I think he left the curtains open maybe, and I sat outside and watched him. So I definitely experienced that differentiation. And yet on the other hand, so much like Baba's teachings, he would tell one person that, another person that, on the other hand, I was okay. And at first in hear saying the mantras at the fire ceremony and things like that, when the very strict Brahmin Indians would come here from, because we had thousands that come here from Denver and from around the world, around the country. I was so nervous, but partly because of my pronunciation, but everybody has been kind and loving, you know. They could feel that I just loved doing what I was doing. And so I think there's more and more acceptance. I'm sure maybe some people had opinions or judgments, and they maybe don't ever come to the ashram here, but by and large, I think it's what's in our heart. And obviously during your moon time, I never went into the temple. It was my time for rest. And the guys were always a little jealous of me. I actually had 3 days a month that I could take more quiet time for myself. So
I want to say that with Babaji, he was always like breaking the rules all the time. Also with women who were having their period, they were not allowed to be close to him. But he himself, of course, knew, and he many times did break the rules to be close to women and confront them and play with them, even while they have their period. So he was not afraid to confront. And also I remember that Buri from Holland, that Baba had her do the puja once in the main temple. And that was also very confusing for the Indians to have a Western woman do puja, to be a pujari, do the puja to this temple. Already when I was doing it later, it was also, that was like almost not done. To have a Westerner do the puja, that was already difficult in the beginning. But Babaji, he definitely let women play a big part as well, participate with pujas, participate with Havan. Babaji broke the rules. And I also heard in the time with Muniraj in Chilianola, and when we were doing pujas there for the temple, that he did not let women enter the temple. There he kept to the probably local, quite strict rules of the pandits and the priest and the environment, that he respected that scenery, that he said, no, women, they stay outside of the temple. But that's all, I think, a little bit how to deal with the local habits. Babaji was far beyond any habit. So that's the beautiful thing that we always have to put in our heart. But it's same time, Baba gave us the space to let women and men both express their devotion in as many ways as they could. Look at Amaji. No, she's also a beautiful woman. If she holds an arti lamp, there's nothing more beautiful as a woman seeing to do puja. So I think to do puja or whatever ritualistic things, it's also available for women. And it makes my heart always very happy when I see them sincerely do these things.
I just wanted to say, it didn't make me angry when you said like women should do this, men should do that, or that I'm trying to break the rule. It's just that I really feel like what Yuramloti said, like if you feel it in your heart, you should do it. And from my own experience with Babaji, it was exactly that. He kept switching me from male to female just to show me that it doesn't really matter. In one life I was a male, in another I was a female. I had many lifetimes, and he was just like that. The difference just merged into I'm just a person. I had this lifetime. Sometimes when it's like I keep remembering I did that before, and just to be a female in this lifetime, and for somebody to tell me no, you're not allowed to do it, it just like it doesn't feel right. I know that's not Babaji's teaching, you know. That's why I brought it up. Yeah. I think I was a male pujari, one of my past lifetimes. That's all I'm gonna say.
Probably so. So let's maybe go back a little bit, back to japa again and the longer period. Isabel, did you have any experience that you want to share?
Yes, thank you. I got very inspired by the last satsang from Ragu to the next day, the 1st of January, to take everything off, turn off Wi-Fi, phone, everything, and just make quiet and just focus on doing japa the whole day. And for me, it was also very challenging because I also have this problem with the mind and the monkey here. So it's very, very good to hear all from you that you have the same, let's call it challenges to focus, that I'm not alone with this, because I always felt very bad, you know, when so many thoughts came up and I couldn't really focus just on saying Om Namah Shivaya. So that's very, in a way, relaxing to hear. Yeah, and it was also nice to see for myself, you know, I always thought I have to do it fast. But when I made it slow to say Om Namah Shivaya, it was also like myself slowing down. So that was a good experience for me, not always to think I have to do it fast, that I also can do it slow. That was really good. And not to think, oh, now I have to finish this round because after I have to cook lunch or whatever. So that was really good to know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and on New Year's, on 31st evening, we did, my mom and me, we did like a little thank you fire. Well, I'm not allowed to do fire, but I just thought to do a little thank you. So to Babaji and to the divine. So we made fire and just gave some flowers and some food and made some puja afterwards. And this was really also a really nice experience, just to give something back. Even if you're not allowed to do a fire ceremony, you still can do something small. And this gave us a really good feeling to give something back and to say thank you, because for me it's very important to say thank you and to appreciate what we get, because Babaji and the divine, they are doing so much for us, and I thought just to give a little thing back, a little thank you. That was nice. Yeah, so it was a good start. And I think it was already mentioned before, when turning off like Wi-Fi and everything, I was also feeling a bit bad, you know, because not saying, oh, Happy New Year to everybody, but it just felt right, you know, to turn off everything. And it gives just such a freedom, you know, you just have time and space to focus on yourself and the divine. And I'm really grateful for this. And I would think to do this more often again, just to turn off everything. It gives just peace and space. And yeah, it's really nice. Yeah. Thank you.
The last years I've been doing a Vipassana retreat over New Year's, not this year and not also last COVID year, but before that I did. And then starts on 28th of December or something till the 8th of January. And you're sitting in silence in the middle of the jungle, and there is no Happy New Year. There is not even a thought about it. And by the 8th of January, when you speak again to people, nobody's busy with it anymore. And then you get another view on that, because, I mean, what does that mean? It is just a social thing which doesn't really hold water. Of course, if you have a dear one and you wish them the best, but not particularly on that moment, and by parroting that short sentence. It is so much nicer to really work on a Happy New Year within yourself. And if you are somehow happy, you're working on your own Happy New Year, you automatically radiate to the ones around you. I think it somehow makes a bit more sense, really.
Yeah, that's nice that you mentioned this, because I had the same, like this year, it didn't feel right for me to say Happy New Year to everybody. It was just like saying because you do it or because it's expected that you're doing this. So I mean, when somebody was wishing New Year, of course I responded to this, but I don't know why, but for this year, it just felt like not to do it, because it was just like, you have to do it. It's expected to do it. It should come from heart. And yeah.
I expect a little bit from my family and friends that they are wishing me a Happy New Year. I don't care if they say it.
It's okay if you really mean it from heart and not just saying because you have to say. Yeah.
Also, why would you wish that just on that day? You should wish it any day. I mean, it's like
Be happy. Be happy.
Be happy.
Be happy.
yes.
Happy day every day.
Tarun, we haven't heard from you. Did you also take some time?
Yeah, hello everyone. First of all, Happy New Year to everybody. Nice to see everyone. So I did not, but I did spend, I usually spend about 40 minutes to an hour meditating every evening. I try to do it at the same time between 6 and 7. So I did that. You know, I think as the days are progressing, I think earlier we were talking about, you know, where do we go when we meditate and we reach that state of deep meditation. I think the amount of time I used to take to reach that state is decreasing over time every year. So initially I would have to sit for maybe 40 minutes until I really started feeling the benefits of connection or connecting. And now it's reduced to maybe 5 or 10 minutes. So that's a good thing. I see that as something that's progressing, hopefully in the right direction. I didn't do anything special, but I did acknowledge that the amount of time that it takes to connect is reducing. And I thought that's great. So that way, hopefully I can get into the moment, you know, a lot sooner and enjoy the benefits of being connected during that 1 hour for a longer time. So that's all I had to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Tarun.
Beautiful.
I do want to say that Bhaskar, who is the director, I suspect you might call him, or manager type thing of the ashram in Holland, he and several people were on last week, and they all decided to spend an hour or so in the temple on New Year's Day, which they did. And I had asked him if he could get on this time and share that, but he said that he's too busy today, knowing how ashrams go. It's understandable. But he said that they felt great silence and peace. So I just wanted to share that Bhaskar Ananda from the Holland ashram, Sadashiva Dham, it's called. They all did that along with us. So Annalena, did you have anything you wanted to share?
Yeah, I'm new to this, or also to the japa, so I have to I have to say that I didn't do my homework. But I try to do it when I feel like it, so I don't feel any pressure for it, or just when it comes up, then I try to do it, and so when not, I don't want to give a push on it. Yes.
Well, it's nice to have you with us, and hopefully you're finding some inspiration and answers.
Yes.
And please always feel welcome to ask a question at any time.
Thank you.
So we're just at the end of our hour. Does somebody else have something they want to share?
It's Lada. I can't show my face because I'm still in bed. I just joined the Jara. I don't have my peacock feathers. I'm waiting. So a good start with chanting mantras and just listening to you all. It's very inspiring. I like chanting mantras, and finally Babaji is pulling me closer and showing me the way. I've known of Babaji for over 20 years, but I've been here, there, and everywhere. Like there was no, I don't know, my karma, I suppose. But finding all of you and connecting, it really feels good. And I bought that bead, Rudraksha bead, one bead from a mala that Babaji had worn. And I'm starting to feel, I'm wearing it. I wash it every day and put some incense and perfume, and then I feel a slight pulsation he's connecting with me. And when we started, I closed my eyes and I was saying Om Namah Shivaya, and he gave me darshan. My eyes were closed, but I saw his face. And this is the first time, well, not the first time, I've had few little things like that. So he's bringing me closer to all of you, so I find the proper way of chanting and getting connected to Babaji, and I'm very grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Lada. So if there's nothing else, would somebody lead us in something for a closure? I know Pujari doesn't have his harmonium in bed with him, probably. Maybe. Oh, I did want to say that we are going to shift and do it every other week. And so there won't be one next Saturday, but the following Saturday. And we asked about what people would like to discuss. And one of the first responses was truth, simplicity, and love. And Ragu and I were talking about that, each one could be a separate satsang. And so I thought in 2 weeks we could do truth. And that this extra time in between give us more time to really focus on that. What is truth for us? What does that mean when we hear Baba saying truth, simplicity, and love? So that I just wanted to let you know, and it's always.
I think these things can be very enriching, because for me personally, through the years, all these things have taken different importances of different. It was something totally different 40 years ago than it became through the years. And that's why it might be interesting if we share these things, that not everybody has to take 40 years. Just know that to hear different concepts, because it also, I mean, we mature over the years, and like you can tell a child about mathematics, but it won't stick. And it only happens when we are ripe, certain things. But on the other hand, we are intelligent people now. We have a brain, so we can think about things. And when we hear new things, we can weigh them and we can see, and they can mature faster in our brain. Then that's why we get inspired by books or by people. And that's why it might be interesting within these satsangs that we have such subjects to listen to different angles of the same concept.
I don't want to pin you down, Ragu, but would you be willing to write one of your, I don't know what we call them, essays about truth in the next week or so, and we can start, people can start, focusing on that and thinking a little bit more about that. If it comes to you, like I said, I don't want to assign you more work, but if it flows, go for it.
Okay, thank you. But maybe it will just happen if we are there sharing it together. I don't know. I cannot say that I am the one who knows about truth. And that's the truth.
You tell us your truth.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But that I think will be nice if we share these things together. And if I'm going to write down now, and that's my essay on truth, and I will tell you what. No, let's just share this together and see where we get.
Okay. And Meena, I want to thank you. I know it's a bit late for you in India, and your health is a little bit challenged, but what a blessing to have you.
It was lovely being on with you and being able to talk and what I feel while doing the job. It was absolutely wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bole Baba ki jai. Bole Baba.
Grateful that.
Thank you for all your work, Meena.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. Makar Sankranti is coming up. Let me remind you.
Yeah,
well,
that's right.
The main day here in Thailand. It's the only thing we live for the whole year.
So that's 14th of January, and it's when in the Indian tradition, when the sun starts its upward rise.
Yes. Yes, Northern Hemisphere.
And Baba said it's the day all the evil spirits are made to leave the earth. It's a very auspicious day of light and opening. So for those that want to know more about Makar Sankranti, it'd be a great day to do some extra practice. Yay.
Yeah, to mention something about this date, Arvind, our chairman, Dr. Lal, Babaji told him to come to Hirakan and sit all night in the Mahashakti Duni. And he used to come all the way from Delhi, or even before when he was still in other places. He used to come sometimes the day itself and sit all night in the Duni, and the next morning he would go again. I mean, but that's a strong sadhana anyway, to sit up all night and do that, particularly if you come during the day and the next day you go back. Travel is not probably very leisurely in India. So that's just to say something nice about our great chairman. He knows about sadhana. I mean, it's
strong sadhana, very strong sadhana.
Yeah,
very strong sadhana. Yeah,
and in Hirakan,
powerful day. It's a very powerful day.
We would chant all night in the Duni. And then in the morning, take your bath, your Makar Sankranti bath in the pretty freezing cold river. So actually in America, we made a tradition where we would take a Makar Sankranti bath. So I would travel to one of the coasts because you couldn't get through the ice here in Colorado. So Florida was where we landed, and would take one every year. And so they're going to do it again this year. I'll be not taking I won't be with them in Florida, but it's a special time. It's a very special time.
Meena, do you know, Meena, why all festivals in India, they are by the lunar calendar, but Makar Sankranti is by the solar calendar? Why is that?
I wouldn't know how to explain that, really. I think I'll talk to Mayapati and find out for you.
No, I'm afraid he already told me, but it didn't stick somehow some years ago.
Okay, I'll try and find out.
Thank you.
I'll let you know.
Thank you.
I heard, Ragu, that on that day the power of the sun is getting stronger again.
Yeah.
So that goes with the solar calendar. It's interesting, here in Russia, they celebrate on this 14th always the New Year. The old New Year in the Orthodox Russian calendar is always on the same date, but on the 14th of January, together with Makar Sankranti. That's also amazing me quite a bit, that those dates in Russia and India, they're the same, but they follow both the solar calendar. So, but more information on that would be welcome, Meena.
Yeah, of course it makes sense because it's the sun and it's the solar calendar. But
because the Earth is just it's shifting. On its axis, the sun is coming now into the south. So that's where the summer comes in. That's when the spring and the summer comes in.
Yeah, thank you.
The sun now comes into the north.
Very important, particularly for the north of India, where the whole with the food and the harvest and all these things.
No, but even in the south, they have Pongal. Even in Orissa, they have something. In Maharashtra, they have something. All over India, 14th of January is supposed to be, the pivot. Absolutely, one day that is really. I think all over India, it's celebrated in one form or the other.
Yeah. And taking a bath is also very important on that day, if possible in the river or in the sea. And when Muniraji also used to come always to Hirakan or wherever, but when in the days when he was older and he couldn't do these things anymore, he would take a bottle or a bucket of seawater or river water and do that in the bathroom with mix it with his bath water just to adhere to the ritual.
Well, we're very lucky here. All of our water comes from our little river that flows by. So I'm always taking a Makar Sankranti bath, even when the river is frozen over.
We had some hilarious experiences in Holland because we have a little, well, it's a trickle really, which is out in the woods, but it's about, I don't know, 1 kilometer through the dark woods, and there is no real path. And one morning we decided let's go and do this. Now it was hilarious to go in the middle of the night in the freezing cold in Holland in the 14th of January to find this, and no, but wait a minute, it's deep like this, so we can't really get in there, and even how frenetic you are because the water was close to ice, and to get it out there and bring it back on the morning, it was an hilarious thing, which hasn't become a yearly ritual.
Oh, Baba has such lovely devotees. We're all, yeah, it's a great blessing. It's a great blessing to be with you all, and we'll see you in 2 weeks, and have a lovely Makar Songkran. And yeah, you could share any of those stories too. Anything
Have
else?
a lovely Mahakranti.
Happy Makar Songkran.
Mahasakranti. Makar
Makar
Sakranti, not Makar Sakranti. Makar Sakranti.
I know.
Makar Sakranti.
Thank you. Okay.
Bole Baba ki
Jai.
Jai.
Jai. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.